Hello, everyone, and welcome to LA County Library. My name is Adriana. I am a Mi'kmaq librarian, and today we're going to learn about a fun activity called bird watching. But what's great about bird watching is that it can be done at any level of experience. At the end of this program, I'm going to show you how you can record all of your experiences. So let's get started. Why did the goose cross the road? Better yet, what kind of goose is that? And what kind of goose is that? These are all questions I have asked myself just while I'm taking a walk through the park. And I'm not an avid birder. But that's what's great about birding is that it's up to you how you want to interact with birds. Birding can be done at any level, from beginner to the well experienced. Because you don't need a lot of experience, you can do this at any age. Indoors, outdoors, from your home, or while you're walking to your car. So we're going to discover the different ways to enjoy birds all around us and how you can put down all of your experiences down in a notebook. Let's start off with a quote from Ken Kaufman's Field Guide to Birds of North America. Bird watching or birding is among the most rewarding pursuits in the world. It can be mentally challenging and physically strenuous, or it can be relaxing and casual. At any level, it gets us away from stressful and trivial parts of modern life, putting us back in touch with the real world of nature. Our goal is to ignite a new passion and to reintroduce you to the world of birding at any level and how it is beneficial to you and for the conservation of birds. So, what are some of the benefits to consider? Experience with nature for your health, patience, improves your reflexes, to be part of a community. Birding can also be part of a conservation effort. Now, let's take a look at what we need to get started. Let's take a look at binoculars. There are two types of binoculars, roof prism and poro prism. Generally, roof prisms are more complicated, but that also means that they could be more expensive. But they do have an advantage of being compact and lighter in weight. For the most part, expensive binoculars utilize roof prism. If you're on a budget for binoculars, consider poro prism, which will provide a better image quality for the price. When choosing binoculars, one thing to consider is magnification. Look for 7 or 8 magnification. This is good for tracking objects and to reduce shaking. To consider with binoculars is eye relief, especially if you wear glasses. Waterproof, depending on when and what time you go birding. The alignment. Do both barrels focus on the same point? If they don't, this can cause eye strain after a long day of birding. Weight, especially if you wear them around your neck. So after a long period of time, it can be a burden on your neck, or if you're holding them for a long time. So weight can be a factor. But let's move on to field guides. This is a tool to take out into the field to look up information about birds, including their description, images, range maps, and so much more. When choosing a field guide, consider the following. Is it accurate, up to date, lightweight, waterproof or resistant to water, easy quick reference? Does it have illustrations with examples of males and females, adult or juvenile, even seasonal plumage? I always encourage everyone to check out our library and see what we have in our collection of field guides. Later, I'm going to talk about various apps, even some that include field guides that you can download to your phone. What's important to remember is that you can experience the joy of birds with or without binoculars or field guides. As I mentioned before, I could be out walking through the park and I can enjoy my moment with the birds. Nevertheless, when you're ready to look at birds, What exactly are we looking for? There are so many types of birds, and yes, it can get confusing. Bird classification is a way to identify birds. Fun fact, a person who studies birds are called ornithologists. There are a lot of different types of birds, and the chances of confusing one bird for another is high. In fact, even if two birds are part of the same species, they may not look the same. There are also possibilities of changes in how a bird is classified. Over time, ornithologists continually refine their classification of birds. As their understanding of each unique species improves, sometimes causing species to be renamed to fit better within the taxonomy of the related species. Here's an example of two sandpipers. The one on the left is a solitaire sandpiper, and the one on the right is a lesser yellow-legged sandpiper. If you want to pause the video for a moment to note the difference or similarities in both birds, you can write them down, draw it, or say it out loud. The idea is to get used to identifying birds' characteristics. But here is a short description of both birds. The solitaire sandpiper is smaller and has shorter legs than the yellow-legged sandpiper. Its wings are also smaller than the lesser yellow-legged sandpiper. Another feature to note is that the solitaire sandpiper has a shorter neck with a shorter and thicker bill compared to the lesser yellow-legged sandpiper. What's great with any observational activity is that we're using all of our senses, sight, touch, smell, taste, and hearing to experience the world around us. While walking through the park, all of my senses are alert, but none other than hearing. Sometimes I would hear the bird before I would even see the bird. So let's get into bird songs and calls. What makes songs and calls distinct from one another is that songs are longer, and they're used as territorial or for courtship. That means that some songs are seasonal. They are also mostly done by male birds, while a bird's call serves as an alarm or as a means of communicating with other birds from their flock. Now let's take a moment to listen to a few videos during my walk through the park. Since I started birding, a simple walk through the park has become a lovelier experience. As I mentioned before, birding can be done on various levels, and one way to do it is by identifying the birds. Sometimes during my walk, if there is a bird I do not recognize, I'll take a picture and look it up later. So when you think of birds, like hummingbirds or sandpiper, they have more than one look, and knowing more of their different features can help identify the bird in question. Here are some features to consider. Size, from bill to tail, as well as their wingspan. Think, for example, a crow and a raven. A crow is smaller than a raven. Another thing to consider is bill size, whether it's thin or thick, long or short, or how they eat. We recognize birds by their bill. Think of birds like a toucan, or a flamingo, or a seagull. We can recognize some birds by the shape of their bill. You can also think of their shape and posture. Sometimes at a distance, you can recognize a bird just by its silhouette. Think of a flamingo. You can recognize it from far away with its long legs and its long neck. You can also look at their behavior. So you ask yourself questions like, is it alone? Is it with its mate? Is it with a group of other birds? How is the bird walking? Think of a penguin. You know how penguins walk. They waddle. You can also look at their habitat. Birds also go through variations throughout the year, and it can be a subtle look or a drastic change. Now let's take a look at field marks. These are patterns that will distinguish one bird from one another. Things to recognize on a bird are the distinct crown, a throat, or the color of their belly, or the stripes and spots or other patterns on their wing or tail. So let's take a look at the following hummingbirds. On the top left is the violet-crowned hummingbird. Notice on the top of the bird's head, it is a different color than the rest. Right next to it, the top right, is the ruby-throated hummingbird. Notice that the throat is a different red shade and how the belly transitions to white feathers. And finally, at the bottom, we have the white-eared hummingbird. Notice the white stripe pattern from above the eye going down. Take a moment to pause the video. Do you notice other field marks on the bird? You can write it down or draw a picture. Hummingbirds have some features that are easier to identify, since they have brightly colored patches and other prominent features that are often included in their names. However, they are incredibly agile, and the pace of their behavior can make it difficult to identify all of their amazing features. Another particular challenge for this species and other species is the differences between males and females. In general, male hummingbirds are more brightly colored as their plumage is used during courtship, meaning they're trying to attract another mate. In contrast, females have a look that's more drab and often lack some of the features that is talked about in their name. So this makes it more of a challenge when identifying birds. That also means you need to recognize the features of a male bird and a female bird. A prime example is a duck. By understanding the field marks on a bird, it brings you one step closer to identifying birds. But this is only possible when you understand the topography of a bird. Topography refers to understanding the different body parts of a bird, from crown, nape, throat, belly, back, tail, and so much more. Knowing the topography is crucial for identifying birds, especially when considering that adult and juvenile birds of the same species can appear different. Most birds are quite agile, or they're at a distance, so knowing their topography to recognize the birds is especially important from different angles. Another thing to remember is misidentifying birds does happen, and this can be due to discoloring, lighting, molting, or even the effects of water. In fact, in one of my outings, I thought I saw two birds, but as I got closer, it was only one bird. The reflection from the water created an illusion. This can be frustrating, but what's important to remember is that this happens even to seasoned veterans. Remember, to be a great birder, all you need to do is enjoy it. Now let's move on to range maps. These maps provide fields of different colors to depict information about the bird's range. They provide clues on where a particular bird is expected to be during various times of year. Permanent residence, migratory patterns, rare locations, even breeding. Each field guide you encounter may use slightly different colors and represent different information on range maps, but they all serve the same purpose of giving the bird watchers clues on where a particular bird is expected to be seen during various times of year. While these maps include areas where a particular species is permanent and can be observed year-round, the important information to gather from these range maps is their migratory patterns and how that impacts the likelihood of you observing the bird. Range maps will provide a geographic reference point indicating the particular species is commonly found in a region during a particular part of the year, as well as regions where they would be rare to find. Just because the bird you're observing is considered rare for that time of year doesn't definitely mean that it's not the species described in your field guide, but it can give you an easy way to exclude the likely candidate while you look for other features that will help you positively identify the bird you see. Now that we have learned about identifying birds and some accessories to bring along, let's look into some locations. Here are a few suggested locations. You can go ahead and pause the video or check down in the description box for the list and links. For the Los Angeles County Parks and Recreation locations, you can visit their website. For each of their places like nature centers and gardens, wildlife sanctuaries, and regional parks, they will have a section for amenities and things to do. Within that list, they will have an icon for bird walks if they are available at that location. Another excellent opportunity to explore the many activities and amenities that Los Angeles County has to offer. Of course, there are other locations, and many of these locations, like Bosa Chica or Bayona Wetlands, are cared for by the Friends, and many have centers available to answer questions and even have activities to do. With bird watching, you can always plan ahead. What I like about parks is that many of them will have a list of flora and fauna, especially for the type of birds. So look for signage like this. This will make it easier to identify birds. Other things that you want to look for are amenities, like restrooms. Check if the parks have events like bird walks. Here on the right is an example from King Gillette Ranch, inviting the public for a bird walk, and it's free. And most importantly, check the weather. However, don't rule out a rainy day. A lot of birds are more active after it rains. Other things to consider with weather is if it's too hot or too cold. Remember, you're going to be out there whether for a short period of time or a long time, so make sure that you're not vulnerable to exposure with the elements. And of course, you can experience a lovely surprise. More and more people will have their phones with them, and a lot of them have really good cameras. So when you're out and about, don't forget to look around you. You never know when you'll see birds. For example, if you're out at the park or at the beach and just walking around, here is a video when I was just walking near the cliffs of Palos Verdes and I saw these birds and I took a video. And here's another video of crows. I was just walking out of my apartment. I was just doing a quick errand. Fun fact, a group of crows is called a murder. But that's what makes birding so exciting. You just never know what's going to happen. If staying at home is more of your type of outdoor leisure, or you would like to be part of the conservation effort, there is backyard birding. From the comfort of your own home, you can still enjoy birding with some simple additions to your backyard or front yard. Attracting birds is all about making them feel welcome. So choose native plants. Having plants that are already adapted to its region makes it easier to maintain and saves water. But for birds, even insects, it provides a sanctuary for them to thrive. So why is it important for birds to thrive? With birding, there is an opportunity to advocate for birds, especially those that are endangered. Birds not only provide us with something beautiful to look at and enjoy, but they serve an ecological purpose. Here are some ways. They balance the population between prey and predator. Many serve as pollinators or seed dispersers. Birds like the vulture do their part at scavenging to clean the environment and dispose of carcasses. However, if birding from your backyard or front yard is not a possibility, or other locations are just too far, there is still a way to view birds in various habitats without leaving your home. Explore.org can do that. This is a website where you can view different animals, including birds in their nature. To access their live feeds, it is free. But to interact and be part of the community, you do have to join. The good news is that It's also free to join, but you do need an email or a social media account like Facebook. Explore.org is about connecting people to various institutes that are partners with Explore.org. If you enjoy watching the birds, but you want to do more about their conservation efforts, there are ways to be part of it. And here's a list of various organizations. The National Audubon Society. Founded in 1905 at the national level, the NAS has always been at its heart a bird conservation organization. These organizations are responsible for establishing the first Christmas bird count. Their efforts brought some of the first bird conservation sanctuaries in the U.S., resulting in some of the first legislative efforts to protect wildlife. Today, they serve as a conservation and advocacy organization in addition to community information, resources, and conduit for like-minded people to learn about and appreciate diverse bird species. Then we have American Birding Association. The American Birding Association began in the late 1960s as a hobbyist community devoted to sharing and promoting the sport and hobby of birding, while leaving scientific study and conservation to other organizations. Today, the ABA remains a hobbyist organization with open membership that generally promotes and provides resources for and to the birding community. Check them out for links for local birding organizations and events, as well as bird ID tips and gear reviews. BirdLife International, founded in 1922 as the International Council of Bird Preservation. BirdLife International, as it is now known, grew out of its earliest partnership between the Audubon Societies of the US, France, and the UK. This organization has ever since expanded to over 100 members who function as independent partners throughout the world, all similarly concerned and engaged in the preservation of bird species. Cornell Lab of Ornithology. Founded in 1915 with the establishment of the first ornithology department of Cornell University, the CLO expanded to become the cornerstone of ornithological research throughout the world. They maintain the eBird database, which serves community sciences observations and aggregates them for scientific research. Their website serves broadly as a comprehensive resource of authoritative ornithological data for scientists, hobbyists alike, and will make an important impact on anyone entering the hobby of birding. As mentioned before, more and more people are using their smartphones, and you can enhance your birding experiences with the following apps. Merlin Bird ID. This will be one of the go-to apps to quickly and easily ID birds in the field. You can download a bird list based on your geographic location. Merlin ID can populate suggested species based on your response to 5 simple questions about the bird's size, color, and behavior to quickly narrow down the possibilities and help you decide which species you've likely observed. You can also make identifications by uploading a photograph of the bird you've observed and allowing the app's AI to generate likely matches to select from this app. Another app is eBird. Birders have long maintained lists of various species that they have observed. The eBird app, also developed and maintained by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, will act as your digital bird list. It will track past observations, allow you to share your work with the larger community of birders, and provide additional information on identified species to expand your knowledge. The Audubon app is another excellent free app for bird sightings on the go. As mentioned before, the app is free, but an email login is necessary. The app connects to Merlin Bird ID to identify birds. In addition, the app also provides Audubon's latest news on its homepage. Another great feature of the app is their access to their field guide, which can be downloaded when the Wi-Fi is not available. Sometimes choosing where to go can be hard, and the following apps provide a list of trails in your local area. Trail LA County provides trails within LA County, which includes maps, photographs, descriptions, and other helpful information. Another app about trails is All Trails. Their free version allows for all access to their trails with pictures. Because the app is only about trails, it does not focus on wildlife. However, it does provide useful information such as weather conditions, reviews from other users, any parking fees and rules, and other additional information related to the trails. Finally, I recommend downloading iNaturalist. Not only does it help you identify animals and plants, but you can also connect with other people and help each other out. In addition, you are able to record and share your observations. Now let's get started with our activity. And all you need is pen and paper. So if you've got a notebook, go ahead and use it. If you want to add a little more flair, you can also use coloring tools like colored pencils or markers. The idea is to write or even draw your observations. Remember, this is for you. You can customize your notebook however you like. On the top right, you can see that I'm going to attempt to draw all the birds I see. The bottom right is the list of all the park locations I am going to visit. It will include name, date, and weather conditions. The next few pages are detailed information about the birds I have seen. But I am also including my own experiences and observations of what happened. The choice is yours on how you want to record your data. If you're interested in digital note-taking, I do recommend watching our video on note-taking apps. Whether you need to create a list, a way to store pictures, or want to take notes on your birding experiences, productivity apps can help. Now take a look at my digital notes using Notion, one of the many apps we discuss in Explore Note-Taking Apps. Before we wrap up, Discover the Birds, here are some tips. Remember to start small and check your local areas first. Follow other birders on social media. You'll be surprised on how much you learn before you even set foot at a park. Don't forget to bring a pen or pencil, a portable charger for your devices, towel, and most importantly, if you do go out, let others know where you are. Safety first. I hope you enjoyed learning about birding and customizing your journal to discover the birds. Visit our website for up and coming events. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for new videos. Thank you and bye for now.